All right, welcome to the LA Soccer Hub Show. My name is Gio Garcia. Today is Thursday, February 25th. Coming to the last few days of February. It's been a crazy one, it's been a fun one, and it's been a fast one. And today we're talking LAFC. And to help me talk LAFC, we got my man Garrett Rodriguez, aka LAFC Live on Twitter. Garrett, how you doing, brother?
Doing pretty good, Gio. Thanks for having me on here. Excited to be back and talk LAFC.
Yeah, man. There hasn't been that much news this past week of LAFC, but we
Mm-mm.
can always talk. But first off, how's your week been, man? What you been up to? Tell us what's been going on in your
Uh,
life.
yeah, it's been good. Just been working all week and watching some football matches. Got to see my Arsenal get the go on to the next round of Europa League, moving on to the round of 16. To be honest, we should have lost that game. It's just another paper over the cracks for Arsenal, but at least we're moving on. The season's been dead. If you're an Arsenal fan, you're aware of that. But yeah, and watching some of the Champions League games as well. Uh, it's just been a really good week for football. If you're a football fan,
Yeah, man. Who did Arsenal end up beating? I haven't watched as much.
D- they they beat Benfica on aggregate technically. So that's who they beat in their round of 32. Benfica was a good team, and we're not the greatest of teams right now. We got a coach that shouldn't be the coach of Arsenal, Mikel Arteta. He's way out of his depth. He's been out of his depth since the get go. That's just my opinion. We should have got like a Carlo Ancelotti or even a Jose Mourinho, in my opinion, to settle some of the players on our team. But I don't want to get too much in the weeds on Arsenal because it'll be a 2 hour, 3 hour show. So I'll just stop talking about it.
No worries. Well, hey, man, I enjoy. I'm glad you enjoyed your weekend. You watched some Arsenal, and you guys see Arsenal move on. I got a couple friends that are also Arsenal fans, and I know it's also been a tricky season. But hey, anytime you can get a win, and you can move on. It's always exciting. I was actually out of town, so I went to Mexico
Right.
City for like a week and a half. Went to go see family, spent time out there. It was cool. It was interesting out there. I feel like out there take the coronavirus a little bit more serious. Not saying that we
Right.
don't, but the reason why I say that is because everywhere they I went to the store, you had to wipe your feet down. You know, talking about like a supermarket
Yeah.
somewhere big. You had to wipe your feet down, and then you had to put hand sanitizers before you walked in. Obviously, everybody
Yeah.
had to have masks. And they took it very serious. Again, not saying that we don't, but I just felt like, out here in the streets, if we're, wherever you are, in the streets, you don't have to wear your mask. My aunt's very careful, so I had to wear my
Yeah.
mask around her on the streets, and it was like a common thing. And I was like, oh man, I think we may be the only ones, and everybody in Mexico City where I was at was wearing the mask out in the streets. And then I
Right.
told her how it was in the U.S., and she was like, "That's why you guys have so many cases." And I was like, "Oh man, here we go, here we
Yeah,
go."
yeah, exactly, exactly. That's crazy though. You go to a different country, then it's completely just opposite of, how we're doing it over here. And I won't get into that all that, but I'm glad you're back safe and sound and healthy and ready to go.
Yeah, and just to finish that off, I had to take a COVID test. Obviously, I had to test negative in order to come back.
Mhm.
So I'm negative. I'm good. I was able to come back.
Awesome. There
Yeah,
we
so
go.
it's exciting. Nevertheless, enough of that stuff. Let's talk about LAFC, man. All right, so this
Yep.
week, like I said, it's been slow, but Ken
Hmm.
Moon Wan made his appearance at the Bank of California Stadium.
Yep.
LAFC's Rich has been posting videos, and I think it's always exciting, right? When you finally have your player come to the United States, come to Los Angeles. Obviously, you wish fans were at the airport. You wish fans were
Yeah.
able to interact with them, but this is the day, the time we live in now. So he got a solo experience of the stadium. He's
Hmm.
there. He gets to actually see where he's going to play. In front of Bank of California Stadium. We're yet to know if there's going to be any fans let in. But what do you make of him actually being here in Los Angeles now?
Well, I'm glad he's here. He can now get settled in. Obviously, you wish that he can have the full experience of exploring LA and going to all the restaurants and, just sightseeing and all that kind of cool stuff. Meeting the fans, like you said, at the airport, actually getting to meet the fans at the stadium. But, it's a shame that he can't do all that because of COVID right now. But I'm glad he's actually here. He could settle in. I don't know, if he has a place to live yet. I'm sure he's, looked at a couple places, but it's good to have him settled in. Hopefully, he's still communicating with family if they didn't travel with them. And I just hope some of the LAFC teammates have reached out to him as well to make him feel welcome. That's always important. You don't want to make him left out. and hopefully we could see him on the training field soon for our preseason games and what he can do on the pitch.
Yeah, I think that's also another exciting thing, right? Once you see him touch a soccer ball, once you see him how he actually moves in
Yeah,
an LAFC, whether it's a practice jersey or whatever, I think that you want to get a feel for his game,
exactly.
and him. And I always also wondered, when they move here from a different country, a different city, like right
Mhm.
away, I'm assuming the team, hooks him up and gets him settled with his new apartment. I'm assuming
Yeah.
it may be downtown. Koreatown is very near, so I'm just making the connections there.
Hmm.
But he's gonna feel right at home, in Los Angeles. Now, like I said, the next step is just to get him in, get some practices in,
Exactly.
just see what he can actually do. And I think it's looking like I would say he may be the starter at right back, unless they decide to put him somewhere else. What do you
Yeah.
think of just now? Obviously, so many unknowns of Kim and Won starting at right back.
I mean, you got to earn your position. So it's going to be a
I
battle
like that.
between him and Blackman. And maybe we'll see a different formation instead of the traditional 4-3-3. But then again, it seems like Kim Moon Wan likes to attack on the right side of the pitch. I'm not saying he's like Danny Alves, but I'm just giving an example of like when Danny Alves used to play for Barcelona, he would attack as a right back, which is great, what you want in a footballer. And it seems like Kim Woo Wan could be that mold. And if he's a starting right back, so be it. I just hope he can do both on both ends of the pitch, which is attack and defend. I seen the highlights. Anyone could look good on YouTube highlights. So let's just see what he can do in the preseason games and what he has to offer.
Yeah, yeah, I think you expect he can get make an impact on the offensive end.
Hmm.
I want to see how his crossing is. How he's able to take shots if he's able, because we don't really see defenders from LAC take shots from outside the 18.
No,
But I've seen some of the YouTube highlights and stuff, so I want to see if he's able to get those in crosses and how he's able to impact the game. So
right.
exciting news. He's here. He's finally. Just get him some clothes, get him in some shoes, and let's see how he does in practice.
Exactly.
But now let's talk about the LAFC jersey. Obviously, it hasn't been released yet to the
Right.
public, but we know
Hmm.
what it's looking like. I think we're still yet. I haven't gotten a word yet on the sponsor or who's going to be the sponsor. I think it still may be YouTube TV, but don't correct me. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
Um, but what are you making of this anticipation of the New Jersey drop?
Well, I tweeted that I could care less about the jersey kit launch, and I just want to make it clear it wasn't about Galaxy jersey. I can care less what they do if they make their jerseys black, pink, yellow, brown. I really could care less. I will admit the jerseys that Galaxy came out, they're pretty cool, pretty nice.
Mhm.
It is what it is. But I care more about the position needs right now at LAFC as far as our goalkeeping situation. We still don't know who's going to be number one, our center forward position as well. If you think that Musso or Corey Baird, I know we talked about it last podcast, but I'm still not excited about that. I care more about that than I do the jersey. But of course, I'm going to buy one once it comes out. I just hope it's not too extravagant. I like the plain jersey, just make it black and slap a logo on there, and we're good to go. That's just my take on it. And also, we talked about that white one, the white kit that was plain looking.
Mhm.
I like that as well. That's just like a classic plain look to it as well.
Yeah, yeah, no, and it's interesting, right? We obviously this past just today, Galaxy had their reveal, and it's a retro jersey, right? Got to give credit where it's due. It's a
Yeah.
smooth looking jersey, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Of course.
And it pays. There's a lot of things that go into it. So now I
Yeah.
think it goes to LAFC, right? LAFC is a new kid on the block, right? They're still building their history, and I think with this jersey, whoever the sponsor is, but I think it comes down to some of the points you're making, right? Is you know, to your point, you care more about what happens on the field. Obviously, you're
Right.
going to buy their jersey, but you're more interested in what happens on the field in certain positions,
Yeah.
than the look. But we got to hype it up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? We got to hype it up. We got to talk about it because I don't think they're going to drop it tomorrow. I think they're going to drop it come March 1st, next March, because I think that's. I don't think it makes. I could be wrong, but I don't think it makes sense for them to drop it the day after
Right.
LA Galaxy when they've had so much hype. I think you just kind of want to give it a couple days and
Mhm.
then do it and start and then have that next week for you. Because
What would
you're
be,
not. I
yeah.
mean, LA Galaxy has so much hype behind this jersey.
Hmm.
Let's be fair. So I think you just got to give it this week and then the next week, and then you start slapping it on Carlos Vela. You start slapping it, on Kim Wan. You start slapping it on all the players, and then you start hyping it. You start, doing the giveaways or whatever. You start giving people the jerseys, and see how the
Right.
community and the fans react to it, and you start making the videos. I'm really interested to see if it's that color beige. And there was like another picture that came out and it looked kind of more whitish than beige. I don't know if you saw that.
What would be dope is that if we unveiled a jersey of Diego Costa coming out of onto the field like there's smoke and Diego Costa has a jersey on. I was like, oh wow, that's like a 10 out of 10 unveil, but no, that's not gonna happen.
You got to wait for
Uh,
fans to actually come in order to unveil something like that.
oh man, that'd be the dream right there, but obviously that's not gonna happen. But yeah, I seen both. I- you can't really go wrong with it. What the cool thing is with LAFC, the color scheme. I mean, black, white, gold. You can't really mess that up. I mean, you really can't unless you really try hard. But whatever they create, I'm gonna be cool with. Like I said, I just want to see the results on the pitch, and if we look good while we're doing it, even better, even better.
Yeah. So I know you mentioned the goalkeeping. Let's talk about the goalkeeping. I know we've
Hmm.
talked about this in the past, but let's talk about it again. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's looking like Kenneth Vermeer and
Hmm.
Pablo Cisneros once again
Hmm.
going back at it. Obviously you got Tomas Romero. I don't think that's happening yet. Maybe in the
Right.
future for him. But I mean, Pablo Cisneros and Kenneth Vermeer, they're battling out. They're doing it again for another season.
Yeah.
This could potentially. I think I could be wrong, but this is
Mhm.
Kenneth Vermeer must sign on a 2-year deal, I believe. Um, this could be his last season. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I apologize.
Uh,
But you know, you got a Kenneth Vermeer that obviously wants to be the goalkeeper. Then you got Pablo Cisneros that obviously wants to be the goalkeeper. Talk to me about how you're feeling going into, now that the preseason is about like 4 days away, 3 or 4 days away.
yeah.
How you feeling about the goalkeeping
Uh,
situation?
Not confident whatsoever. Like I said, I don't feel confident with either of them in goal. Honestly, don't. It probably is going to be Vermeer. That's just my take on it. He's a veteran, I guess, if you want to call him that, the more experienced one. Um, and I guess it's going to be a battle of who does better in preseason. I would assume. I don't know how many preseason games we're going to have. If we have three or four, I would maybe think they rotate every half or every other game, and then see who does the best from there. I still think we need a goalkeeper somehow, some way. We need to get one. If it means cutting one of them or I guess trading one, that could be a route we can go. But if we're stuck with them, we're stuck with them. And if we have an MLS season goalie, and then we have a U.S. Open Cup goalie, so be it. Because I know some European coaches did have Champions League and their actual domestic league as well. But I don't know. I'm not confident at all whatsoever in these two. It is what it is. Some people, might criticize that and say I should have more faith in them. But after some of the stuff I saw, in the bubble in Orlando, and even during the domestic season with Vermeer and goal, it's not pretty. You always hold your breath when one of them has the ball on their feet as well. So we go from there.
Yeah, I think, man, it's tough. It's tough having these conversations because you want to be like feel comfortable. Like, all right, we got, say it's Kenneth Vermeer, he's starting to
Mhm.
go, and then we also got another solid backup. But this
Right.
situation is like you don't know, right? You
Yeah,
you,
we
you don't
don't.
know who's a starter and who's a backup, and it's it's like a coin toss at this point, back
Exactly.
and forth. But we Vermeer did finish the season off in Concacaf, even though to some it was a little shaky,
Mhm.
and I think you gotta see, I guess, in this preseason, and I think you start, if you're like, you start to plan for the future, right? Not you look at this season, but you also look at, is Pablo really going to be the guy? Is Kenneth Vermeer really going to be the guy? Because I don't think you want to go down the season and, not saying that this will be the case, but if for to happen, you you don't have that goalkeeper position solid enough that it may cost you a game, it may cost you two games, right? And
Yeah.
how I think starting this preseason, right? If you're the coaching staff, I think the main objective is to build a confidence back up if it's not already there,
Yeah.
because there was so much back and forth from Pablo Cisneros and Kenneth Vermeer, and I think you got to build that relationship up. That if it's Kenneth Vermeer or you want them to duel it out, like, hey, you can be our goal, you can be our number one guy, but you got to show us in preseason. You got to show us in preseason that you can be our guy, and we're going to give you a shot. And I think that's what they're going to have to do if they haven't already done that.
Yeah, I mean, we have no idea what's going on behind the scenes either. I mean, maybe they already know who's going to be number one and number two, for all we know, or maybe secretly we know that one of them is going to be cut or traded. We don't know that either. Or maybe Romero is going to be the goalie.
Right? They
Hey, you
throw
know
they
what?
throw us a curveball, right? And we don't even know Romero is going to be like.
He could be the gym for all we know. I mean, that'd be pretty sick if he was the gym goalie coming out of nowhere. But is it realistic? Probably not. But we'll see and go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean that's gonna happen. That's gonna be have to address here within the next month. Obviously, the
Hmm.
season starts April 17th.
Yep.
March 1st is supposed to be the start date for LAFC and the players. I think they're supposed to go in quarantine. Some teams, I was talking with Alicia or Juice, you can start before then. So we'll see when
Hmm.
LAFC actually starts and practices as a team and as a unit. The next position, is center forward. I know we had talked about this previously. So
Yeah.
as of now, I think you got Danny Mazewski, right? Your center
Hey.
forward, and then you also got Baird, that are the two that we expect are going to be doing it out. Obviously, Danny Mazewski, I felt like he was a little out of rhythm. I'm assuming it was because of his injury.
Hmm.
He did not have a good finish to the end of the season, the CONCACAF, but we did see him, score goals. We did see him impact. We did see him where he came from, and and how they scouted him. How John Thornton scouted him, and the
Right.
impact he was able to have in some games. When he made the best of his opportunities. Now I
Hmm.
think it's for him to take it to the next step and show that he is a solid player, show that he is a solid forward, and that he can also earn the spot. And on the other hand, you got Baird, right?
Hmm.
This is a player that that I felt like LAFC knew that either Diego Rossi or Brian Rodriguez were going to leave. That this was a player that they could either sub him in or have him at forward and impact the game with Diego Rossi and Carlos Vela. And I think for Baird, you just got to show what you're capable of, and if you are going to be playing the center forward position, then play it as a number 9. You know what I'm saying? And I know he's versatile, but if he's able to play it as a solid number 9, then the number 9 spot is there for him as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And if it's to be a battle between those two, I honestly don't know who I'd rather take starting because they're both, I guess, the same built type. They both work hard. They're both workhorses, but they're not going to score you 15 goals a season. That's for sure. Like I said, that position doesn't excite me one bit. I'm not really fond of them too. I know you told me to give him time, Baird, and we have that deal if he scores more than 10 goals, which I hope he
Yeah,
does.
you got to
Um,
give him time. You got to give him
I,
time.
I'll like I said, I'll give him time, but I'm not going to give him the whole season. I give him like 6 games tops. If I don't,
He's like, I give you till till
you
the
know,
end of Brian Rodriguez's loan, and then.
oh God, yeah, that
But
loan
let's
isn't
focus on center forward first, and then we'll get
okay,
onto that. We'll
okay,
get onto
okay,
that.
okay. But yeah, I Sergio, I tweeted that we have to at least put a contract on the table. I don't know how it's going to work, or the MLS rules are always foggy to me. I don't really get how they work. Nor I care to learn how they work. But Sergio Aguero needs to get at least an offer if he's out of contract for Manchester City. I know he's 32. I think he's 32. He's a bit injury prone, but an injury prone Sergio Aguero in MLS is like a prime Ronaldo in La Liga. So he would score bangers. And imagine Vela, Aguero, and Rossi up top. Those three, that's fire. But when you put Baird, Vela, and Rossi, that doesn't sound too good to me either. So,
Not yet, but that's what we're
oh
working here for
God,
LAFC, right? But let me say
yeah.
this: when I was down in Mexico last week, there was
Mhm,
rumors of
mhm.
Kun Agüero going to Liga MX as well. So
Oh
the
no.
rumors are everywhere, brother. The rumors are MLS, Liga MX, and my cousin, because I was like, my cousin's a big Liga MX fan. I don't follow it because I'm
Mhm,
busy, covering the MLS and following what's going on over here. And I was like, oh, that's interesting because, I know LAFC. I know someone that I talked to is interested in bringing him into LAFC. And there's been a lot of rumors, there's been a lot of rumors that people
Yeah, yeah.
want him to come to MLS specifically, right? LAFC. But yeah, the rumors are out there, man. The rumors are not just MLS. The rumors are all over. So there's a
Uh,
lot of competition.
I can imagine this scenario that Geniac's getting up there in age. I think he's 35 or 36, if I remember correctly. That if he retires or for whatever reason, Aguero would go to Tigres, or I could see a scenario like that, and that would be a oh my god, yeah, that'd be a good replacement if Geniac got retired, or if he goes back to France for some weird reason. But yeah, Aguero would be a great option. Diego Costa, I believe, doesn't have a club right now. I don't think he's still with Atletico. I think they let him loose. I'm just trying to think of all center forward options. I mean, JJ Macias.
Mhm.
I know a lot of Chivas fans bash him, but I mean, in MLS, I don't know how you would do. I know he's linked with moves to Europe, but I think those will kind of die down. And then also, I know Olivier Giroud is not going to happen. No way will that happen. But that would be a great center forward to have in MLS, as far as a hold up man, and also could score bangers as well. But those are just some of the names I think of. Will they happen? Probably not. I think we're stuck with what we're stuck with until further notice.
Yeah, so we'll see what's gonna happen.
Mhm.
With those whole center forward situation. But like I said, you got to give Corey Baird, you got to give Danny Musovsky a
Yeah.
shot because they're on the roster, and I think if you're one of those two guys, you're like, we don't need a third DP, right? We don't need a third DP. If this is there, I feel like if this is them, we don't need a third DP at center forward. You got your third DP, you got your center forward here, and I'm gonna prove to you. And I feel like if you're Danny Musevsky or you're Corey Bear, that's what you got to do, man, because you're literally that spot is open. It's open
Yeah.
for you, and have LAFC, use that center forward spot somewhere else. But
Mhm.
that's what I feel like that's what you have to do. But if they're not able to get the job done, obviously you do got to look elsewhere to bring in that third DP spot.
Right.
So talking about their third DP spot, the reason why we have an open DP spot was because Brian Rodriguez, essentially James Harden, LAFC.
Yep.
So that scenario was interesting, and it was interesting where he went. He went to UD Almeria,
Yep.
obviously second division in Spain. Obviously, he got transferred at the day of the final day of the transfer, which I believe was February 1st. Correct me if I'm
Something.
wrong.
I think it's something like that, or like the end of January.
The end of January,
Yeah,
February
yeah,
1st.
something like that.
We're off
Mhm.
by a couple days if we're off. But nevertheless, so now we're at January 25th, right?
Mhm.
So I went and looked. I haven't watched any of his games, but I went on Google. So they've had obviously they've had 4 games up to
Right.
date. They had one on February 6th. Obviously, he was not available for that. This is what I'm seeing off of Google. They had a game on February 14th. He was available on the off the bench, but he did not play. They had a game February 17th, and then a game this past Sunday, February 21st. So the last 2 games they lost 2-0, and then on last Wednesday they lost 2-1. And in both those games, Brian Rodriguez came off the bench for a total of 10 minutes, 5
10 minutes.
minutes, 5 minutes each game. Um,
Yeah.
this is not looking like the type of Brian Rodriguez loan transfer we were expecting. I thought he may be
I thought
starting by
the
now. I thought he may be impacting the game more than at least, 10 minutes, but it looks like they already have that spot filled, is what is
uh
the way I read it.
well, if
I'm
the only thing I can think of is if LAFC knew, I mean, I don't know. I can't, I'm not working behind the front office and whatnot, but if they knew that he was not going to get any playing time and they just sent him there just to send him there, that's a really stupid move. But if Rodriguez was insisting on going to Almeria, then that's stupid on his part too. If he knew he wasn't going to get any playing time, and that just goes to show his level is not even La Liga 2, which is sad. I know it's only been 3 games, but if he doesn't get more playing time before the season ends, then this is going to look really bad, and like an egg on our face. And the money value on his head is going to be down the toilet because we lost out on a big, not a big transfer, but a decent sized transfer. It's going to get lower and lower and lower. And we had the opportunities with those rumors swirling with, Serie A teams that were looking at him first division. We
Hmm.
could have just bend him then, but we decided to play, just wait around and sit around and see what happens. And this is what happens: you sell him to, not sell him, but you loan him to a La Liga Division 2 team, and now he just sits the bench and warms it, and he comes on for garbage time, and when they're already losing. So it's his level. I don't expect anything more from him. I mean, we already know what he is. If he ends up he does a total 180 and he starts actually playing and getting bangers, even better, then we could sell him for an even better price. So it is what it is. He just needs to leave the club.
Yeah, well, obviously he's still LAFC's property, so this gets tricky, right? This gets
Mhm.
interesting. I don't think this is his role. At least I don't expect. I think we were expecting more, but at 10 minutes in the last two games. And then another thing that was interesting is that Almeria tweeted out a photo of him saying that he's a player from another planet, and then when you look, he's only played 10 minutes. So that's a little. I don't know if they're trying to motivate him or they're trying to, but
Yeah, yeah, from another
it's
planet. All
kind of it's
right.
kind of off when he's only played 10 minutes and you want to make it sound. They said it in Spanish. America has Twitters in quite a few different languages. Check it out. I
Yeah,
checked it out. They tweet the same thing in every single language. So
they said he's
kudos
from a
on.
different. They said he's from a different planet. Is that what they said?
Let me get the word for word.
I'm sure that's what he. Yeah, I'm not questioning you. I just want to make sure that's what it says. He's from a different planet.
Yeah. The latest photos, a player from another planet, not a different planet, a
Yeah,
player from another planet.
most of his shots in the bubble went to another planet. They're all over the. So,
You
uh,
want some heat there, but I mean
just
it's
saying.
interesting because I was reading the comments and people were saying some things, especially in Spanish.
Mhm.
Um, so it's interesting. But now I want to talk about John Thornton's comments. He was recently on a podcast.
Mhm.
He did one with the LAFC podcast, and
Mhm.
and it's interesting some of his comments. So I'm just going to read some of the quotes that were
Yeah.
here. For us, this is John Thornton. For
Mhm.
us, we have said consistently we are always looking for the right solutions for our players, and we take everything on a case by case basis. There was a lot of interest in loan opportunities and purchase opportunities for our players, and we sit down and we discuss with each player. Sometimes it makes sense, and sometimes it doesn't. In this case, we thought it was a great opportunity for Brian to get some games in and to go play in. Obviously, he's talking about UD
Yeah.
Almeria.
Correct.
And then this is another quote. He says, I certainly think Brian has the potential to be a top player in Europe. And so this made sense. We were grateful we could conclude that deal right at the deadline for Brian. We're still in touch. He's happy how things have gone. He's made the bench already, and we're hopeful this weekend he'll start and play a part. He'll start to play a part, hopefully, in game promotion. This was prior to Sunday when this came out.
Okay.
So that was him. And then here's another quote. If you were to ask me a year ago, would we have been open to Brian Rodriguez going on loan? Excuse me, I just misread. Going on loan, I probably would have said no. That doesn't make sense. We're waiting to sell him. But you have to adapt, and as anybody will tell you, this market right now is deflated to the point where you need to find some creative solutions. The fact that we're able to get an economic deal that made sense for us, made sense for Brian, made sense for Almeria, we're happy to adapt and execute. So they're happy, but they didn't disclose the details, right?
Right.
That's what
And
makes it interesting. Like, if you're really happy, why didn't you disclose those details? That's the
right.
only thing I have
And
to say about that.
they also had offers on the table. So what other offers? I'm just curious. Were they loans? Were they all loans, or were some of them buys? I mean, if they were buys, you should have just bit the bullet and just sold them, even if it
Well, I
was half
think I
price.
think previously there were probably buys, but I think down the line, I think at the end of the transfer window, I looked. It was February 1st. I
Mhm.
think they were mostly loans.
Yeah, it's a shame because I guess what in my mindset, maybe did get an offer to buy and it isn't what they expected. So they said maybe someone will get desperate enough to pay the money at the deadline. Obviously, no one came in to buy, and that's why they had to do the loan. That's my only assumption because maybe that's what happened. They had to do what they had to do, and Brian obviously said on the radio and was crying that he didn't want to play here anymore. So at the end, they just had to both figure it out and ship him out for now.
Yeah. And then another thing, Tom Bogar had tweeted that the purchase clause for Brian Rodriguez will be between 11 and 19 million, which we discussed, but they didn't disclose those those clauses, and them losing the last two games and him only
Yeah.
getting 10 minutes of playing time doesn't look promising. And I think when you're looking what's going on over there, and you're hearing some of the comments, obviously John Thornton is making, it doesn't look like it's aligning, right? It's still early, right? I think their season ends in May. You still got time, but
Right. And oh, sorry. I was just gonna say is that the clause for the buy is 11 to 19, right? That was what was.
between 11 and 19 million, but there hasn't been no word, or they haven't been willing to give out the information. What are those clauses? Does he have to play every game? Does he have to play, like, I think Calgary or whatever
Yeah,
he
yeah.
had to play 75% of his games. Do they have to make a first team promotion, which I'm assuming that has to be in there,
Mhm.
those are the things that they did not disclose, because once you know those clauses, then you're able to see if they're able, if you're the average fan can able to tell you if they're able to sell them or not.
Right. And I was gonna say if his value is 11 to 19, if he's gonna go the whole season doing this 10-minute off the bench stuff, it's gonna be to from 11 to 19 million, it's gonna go to 5 to 7 million, if we're going to be honest here, because he's not going to be able to perform if he's sitting on the bench. And, frankly, we're going to take a loss either way we do this. So it's better just to rip off the Band-Aid now. Well, not now, but when he comes back from his loan, because I doubt they're going to buy him unless he has like a hat trick in like 3 straight games or something like that, or he actually performs. So either way, I think his future at LAFC is done and over with. That's
Let,
just my
let,
honest
let's
opinion.
let's talk about that. I'm with you. I feel like his future is done with LAFC.
Yep.
Um, but if for whatever reason those clauses aren't met, right?
Mhm.
LAFC's clauses are not. I mean, Almeria's clauses aren't met. Let's just play this for example, right?
Mhm.
Let's say Almeria doesn't want to buy him,
Mhm.
then he comes back, right? There's
Right.
or LAFC can sell him to another European team. But if Almeria doesn't buy him or wants to keep him or extends the loan, which could happen as well, that's another option,
Mhm.
then his price is going to drop even more, right?
Right.
Because I don't think any team, I really don't think, this is no disrespect to him, but I don't think he's worth 19 million. I think that's way too high.
No,
That's way
no,
too
no, no,
high.
no.
And I think the reason why it's 19 million, they put that high clauses up there, is if another European team sees him and wants to snatch him up real quick, then
Right.
they can buy him.
Hmm.
But I think if things don't go well with Almeria, and do you want to bring him back? I don't think if you're LFC you want to bring him back, even though
No.
you're alone, right? Um, it would. I don't know how it would look for him to come back. Would he be accepted? Probably not. I don't know. Would be
Hell no.
LAFC fans be? Would you want him back? Would you want him back?
No.
If say no?
No, I don't want him at all. I don't want him near. I don't want him near the bank at all. No, or just no, no, please. Just come back to get your stuff if you left anything in the locker, and then just get the hell out because
so then that to me makes it so interesting. Then if he doesn't come back, how much is LAFC willing to lose just to sell him and get rid of him? Because as of now, I know they want to say that it's less than $11.5 million. I'm not buying that until I'm actually told that. Transfer Market says $11.5 million, and that's what I'm going off of. That's
Mhm.
what LAFC paid to get Brian Rodriguez to Los Angeles, to LAFC, and that's what I'm going with. I know other people want to say it's less than that. Until they prove me that it's not and tell me that it's different, that's what I'm going off. How much is LAFC willing to lose if it doesn't go well with Brian Rodriguez? Is a question. 3 million?
Looks.
If you sell him for 8, if you sell him for 9, like that's already
Yeah.
2.5 million. Like, how much are you willing to lose? That comes down to the question, because right now it doesn't look like. Or I think you just bring him back. I don't know. Like, how much are you willing to lose? That I think that's because that's what they're losing. It's not just a DP spot. It's the money they got to pay for him.
Right. And what we need really is I don't know if there's an international break at any time, but he performs really well with Uruguay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping in the meantime, I don't know if he'll even get called up because if he's not getting game time, why would you call him up? But still, if he for some reason gets called up and he plays for Uruguay, he needs to perform because he does really well for them. It's kind of weird. He does like he turns into a different player when he plays with them. Obviously, surrounded by probably better players. Maybe that's why I don't know, but yeah, that's what we need because then they can see kind of his talent show off, and maybe I'm gonna be able to play him more. I don't know. I'm just trying to make anything best case scenario for him, but yeah, I think the loss is going to happen on this transfer, unfortunately. And it is what it is at this point. He's a failed experiment once again for the third DP spot. So,
Yeah, I think that's the toughest thing, right? Because you get such a young, promising talent.
mhm.
I always felt this way about him when I first saw him play, and
Mhm.
I was like, dang, LAFC really paid that much money for him. I was like, at the time it wasn't that much because
Mhm.
I think it was like the third highest at the time, MLS,
Yeah.
third highest, now it's probably like the fourth or fifth, and I was
Mhm.
like, man, he's not. I don't know, he's not that exciting, and I think now you look at it, what 2 years or almost like a year and a half after they signed him,
Yeah.
how it's gone, and I think it's been going down this direction,
Yep.
pointing down, down, down. If you look like at the stock market, it's been going the opposite way. Like, at what point are you going to hit the stop loss and just sell?
Right.
And in John Thornton's case, from what he was saying, it appears that there was only loan options, right? There was only loan options, and how many? His agent's very vocal and stuff. I'm assuming they can get him another loan if Amir doesn't want to buy him.
Right.
But I think if you keep loaning him,
That's a waste of a third DP spot then in the meantime because you keep loaning him out. And I don't know how long his
I,
contract is either,
yeah,
by the way.
I think you got. But even if his contract runs out, LAFC needs to recuperate that money. It's the biggest
Mhm.
thing. It's the 11.5 million. Because that's the biggest thing. If they paid 5 million for him, that's the biggest Achilles for LAFC is the $11.5 million. Because if
Yeah.
you're John Thornton, how do you go to your investors or how do you go to your owners? Yeah, you gave us 11.5, but we weren't able to flip our investment. You
Oh,
could blame the pandemic, you could blame Brian Rodriguez, and they may be willing to take that loss, but I don't know if they're willing to take that loss if you're an owner investor of LAFC.
unfortunately, there might become a casualty where Diego Rossi and our Atuesta is sold to make up some of that loss
True.
of that money, which I could see happening, which would suck. But it's a reality, and we have to brace ourselves for that because I guarantee you one of those two will be gone after this season, Rossi or Atuesta, or maybe both. But that's a lot for both of them to leave. But at least one will definitely be gone after this season. I just don't know which one, but they'll be going to a decent club. I guarantee it.
Yeah, you make a good point about Diego Rossi, right? Because you can offset, right? If you lose, say, two
Yeah.
million off of the Brian Rodriguez deal, and so you sell Rossi what north of $20 million.
At
Okay, that makes
least
sense. At
I would
least, right?
say at least 20 to 23 is probably his worth right now. And that's American dollars. I mean pounds and whatnot. I think it's like 19 million if it's 23 million. If it's 23 million American dollars, I think it's 19 million pounds. I could be wrong. I don't know. Probably am wrong. But
No, but you make a great point. But just to finish off
mm,
the Brian Rodriguez point, um, this really holds LAFC on getting a third DP until May.
yeah,
Until May, and that's when they're going to make the decision. What say, like, for example, we said Danny Musovsky or Corey Baird are playing well, and then they decide to use that 30p at a midfielder, defender, whatever, right?
right.
But they can't use that until May, until you're already like a month into the season. If it starts, a couple weeks into the season, so I think that's going to be interesting come May, what happens with Brian, because if he's able to stay there, if he's not able to stay there, then then there's different scenarios about bringing that their DP. And also, I think also goes to show, LAFC have looked good even without Brian Rodriguez on the lineup, so I don't think they're going to suffer that much. But
No.
you're not using all your weapons, as you would say, as other teams, right? Every other team
Yeah.
has a third DP, and you would be the only one without a third DP up until May, and then we'll see what happens there. So I think we're just gonna have to follow this closely, follow what's going on with Brian Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Hoping he has like a hat trick, scores 4 goals, plays 90 minutes, and
That's what
then
I'm hoping for. I'm gonna be the biggest Rodriguez fan you'll ever see this season coming up. So
yeah. So now that we're talking about Diego Rossi, let's talk about Diego Rossi, right? Obviously,
Okay.
he's the most valued player for the MLS. The transfer window is this summer. The other the second transfer window
Mhm.
is this summer. I really expect him to leave this summer. I don't see him past the summer. I know him seeing Brian Rodriguez leaving. I know LAFC want to get money from him. So if you're LAFC, you probably have a couple months if he's gonna leave, right? I have no word on this. I have no indication.
Mm.
But what are your thoughts? Say if you're LAFC,
Yeah.
how do you get the best out of him these last few months if he's leaving the summer?
I would say, Diego, we know you're probably the one of the most valuable players, not only on our team, but in the league. We know you have aspirations to play in Europe or, wherever he wants to play. If a team comes in for you in the summer, you can negotiate to sign a contract, but you won't be able to join until that winter transfer window opens up. And I would assume he'd be okay with that because at least he'll finish the season of LAFC, and then he can join the European club in the winter transfer window, or he
I
can
like
join
that.
act. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's
I like
fair.
that.
I,
That is
I
that
think
is
that's
very
fair.
creative, and I didn't think about that. That way
Yeah,
you can finish out the season,
yeah.
and he's able. I could definitely see that happening. I could definitely see LAFC working out a deal like that, but
Mhm.
I could also see Diego Rossi being like, you know what, I'm ready to go. It's my time,
Yeah.
man. I'm ready to
Y-
go. And if Diego Rossi says that, you got to let him go. You know,
Yeah, which is sad, but yeah, you're right.
because I think it comes to a point that he's if he's still killing the league and he gets to a point that there's only so much I can do. Obviously, unless he's like, you know what, I'm going to stay here. Let's win this one MLS Cup or whatever. Then obviously you do what you said, right?
Right.
You sign him to a European club, and then you let him go in the winter transfer window. But I think the only case if he's ready to go, if he's already been thinking, he's already saw Brian leave, and he's like, you know what, I'm ready to go. I want to keep rising my stock. I want to keep rising my stock with my national team. Showing that I can just kill it here, but also kill it in Europe, which I know I can do. Then I think if you're LAFC, you just gotta let him go.
Right. And also, if you want to get called up to the Uruguay team, let's think about it. Next year is the World Cup. I don't think they're going to push it back. I think it's going to be in the winter 2022.
Yeah, 2022.
So I think he's going to want to be on a bigger team, a bigger club, on a bigger stage, and that way he can get noticed more and say, "Hey, look, I'm doing it in the big boy leagues now." So I mean, there's no reason I shouldn't be getting called up. I mean, he'll be playing with the likes of I don't know if Suarez and Cavani will be there. They'll be older too, so they need some younger talent. Rossi obviously is a younger player. I mean, he fits the role. I'm not saying he's going to start, but at least he'll be in the squad. That'd be cool to see him in there. So he's got to think about that too. Like, hey, I don't know if my coach is going to rely on MLS players. Is he going to want only European players? Is he going to want, you got to think about that. That's just another way of looking at it.
Yeah, no, no, and I'm with you. I think if you're Rossi, like I think that's another motivation to push him to wanting to go. Like, hey, let's do this. Send me to Europe. Let's get a deal done.
Mhm.
Make the money that you need to make money off of me. But like, yeah, I'm ready to go. And I think that's where things get interesting because let's just think about it this way. If come May, and I don't know when the transfer. I'm trying to look up when the summer transfer window opens. I think it's in June or July. But let's just play there, like June or July, right?
Right.
The end of Brian Rodriguez loans ends in May. So you still got to fill that spot up. And say Diego Rossi wants to go, then you have to fill two spots up within a matter of a couple months, right?
Right.
So
And that's a
then,
lot.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
a lot. It's a lot. You'll have money if you sell Diego Rossi, right? Because I don't think you want to loan him unless it's like a big Premier League club or something like that.
Right.
Um, but then you got interesting. Then you got to get more creative. Who's going to fill Diego Rossi's spot? Have you filled? Have you filled up that third DP? Are you going to fill it up with another winger if Diego Rossi leaves?
Right.
Is Corey Baird and Danny Musovsky doing what they're supposed to be doing? At the number 9 spot. Didn't someone have an injury? Did someone go down in the midfield or something? Defense, right? So I think it gets very, very tricky once it comes down. If Diego Rossi is ready to move on the summertime, you're gonna have to do with a lot of moving pieces. And I think if you look at this team now and we look at this team at the end of the year, it's gonna look a lot different with the pieces up top.
Right. And then, who's to say that At West is not going to make some noise and say, hey, I want to
True.
get sold.
True.
Maybe Palacios, he might speak up and say, you know what, I think I've done enough. Or
Blessing as well.
Blessing, Palacios, maybe even Segura at one point could say something as well. I mean, we got a lot of players. I'm not saying they're going to play for, Manchester City or Liverpool or Real Madrid, but I mean, to the lower league clubs, some of these players could sneak in on the bench at least. And if they want to move, they're going to ask for a move. But, at the end of the day, LAFC is their priority right now. Once it gets to that time where we start seeing players demand moves, it's going to be a bit tricky for the front office. So I hope they're ready for it.
Yeah, I think they are. I mean, and they know how. If you're a player, you know how to get a move. Now you've seen
Yeah,
it.
you
Brian
cry.
Rodriguez pretty much just choreographed it for you. If
Yeah,
things aren't going to plan, you know what you got to do. And
yeah,
and I'm not here to bash him, but I feel like he did it the right way. Brian Rodriguez literally did it the right way if when he wanted to go. And
yeah.
obviously him LAFC didn't want him to go, but this is what he thought was best for him. And I
Right,
think if you're LAFC, now you have that experience. Now you know how to deal with someone like that, right? I don't see that
exactly.
happening from any of these players unless they try to hold them back. If they try to hold Diego Rossi back, or they try to hold any other player that's Latif Blessing. I could see Latif Blessing popping up again because there's been some there was some chatter last season that he was unhappy with LAFC and what's going
That was
on there.
weird. Very
And
weird.
they said that he wasn't available. They told me he wasn't available for a game due to sickness or whatever. But if you read between the lines, it was I was told by a different source that him, LAFC, and Latif Blessing were getting along. Obviously, you have that's been going on with LAFC. There was contract issues and different things the previous season. But look like they sorted everything out towards the end of the season. But if
Right,
Latif Blessing is not happy, best believe he's going to speak out. And you've seen how Brian Rodriguez, so he knows what he needs to do.
right,
But I think if you're at LAFC, now you got the experience. If you're the front office, now you got the experience and you know what you're going to do. But I hope I understand that they're also preparing for that to happen this summer because you never know. And I think right, the thing that makes it so difficult is that the market's so deflated, you know, like John Thornton said, and I think that's what makes it so difficult. It's like, damn, we paid 11.5 for this guy, and they're only offering us, for example, eight,
mhm.
9, 7 million. I can't do
Yeah,
that, you know and you literally you got a gun to your bullet and you're like, yeah, let's just loan him. I don't know if I want to have that on my record because it's not a good situation, right?
right.
The
And
market
you
was
already,
something else. You just got to
yeah,
get creative if you're the front office for LAFC with everything going on right now.
yeah. I mean, the Andre Horta experience was one I like to forget. And then, now the Brian Rodriguez, I mean, he wasn't as bad as Horta, but he's going to cost a hell of a lot more money to get rid of now. We're going to take a loss. So you best get the third DP right next time go around, or I mean, questions should be asked about what scouting or how's this not going to fit in, and that going to tie into a lot of questions being asked is, are these players actually the right players? Is Bob not playing them? Or what's going on behind the scenes as well?
Amen. Amen.
So questions are going to
Amen.
be asked this season. I guarantee you that. I'm already asking the questions. I
Yeah, I've
just want to
seen
see the answers.
I've seen that. I've seen you asking the questions, but I want to hit it on. You make such a great point because right. Look, I want to give credit where credit is due. Bob Bradley has done a great job in these 3 years,
Yeah,
right? He's just come short. That's his biggest thing. He's
right.
just come short, but he's won in the past. Also, John Thornton has done a great job with LAFC in
Yeah.
these 4 years. They've done a great job. But what people will tend to remember, this just happens. We're human nature is where you messed up and some of those mistakes. Trust me, I've messed up.
Yeah.
I'm not immune to that.
Right. We're
I've
human.
messed up and spoken on this microphone, right? I've messed up and tweeted something out. But I own those responsibilities and what have
Hmm.
happened. But I think the biggest thing, and not saying that Bob Bradley and John Thornton don't do that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they don't do that. But to your point, questions will be asked if Brian Rodriguez is sold for less than 11.5 million, if LAFC doesn't have a good season this year, if LAFC fall below what the standard is from the fans, from Garrett Rodriguez, from everybody else out there, which is fair to do because you're a team in LA, you're a team that wants to win, you're a team that has aspirations to win. You got a neighbor next door that's making a lot of noise as well, So there's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of things that come with it. But I think questions will be asked about, the coaching staff, the front office, if you don't have, if you don't meet or exceed your expectations. I think you got to exceed your expectations, right? If we're talking about LAFC, let me ask you, what are expectations for this year? Just straight up the top. Just name two things. Name two things, and
Two things.
I know what you're gonna say.
I want to see some silverware. I want us to win the MLS Cup. Four season MLS, you should be able to get it right. I know people think that my expectations are way too high, but win MLS Cup, finish top three in the West, and make a deep run in US Open Cup. That's what I want. Those three right there. Those are
Cool.
the three.
You did better than what I asked you. You gave me three out of the two that I
Three.
gave you. So, right, I knew you were gonna say win silverware, right?
Yep.
And then what was the second one? I forgot.
Top three in the West.
Top three in the West. Perfect, right? And that is such a high goal. Win silverware would be top three in the West, and then do well. What was the third one? Do well in the Open Cup.
Go and a deep
Go
run in the US Open Cup.
deep cup in the Open Cup, right?
Yeah, deep run. Mm-hmm.
Deep run. Those are not out of the realm of LAFC, right?
Nope.
They got the horses to do that.
Yeah.
And I know that they can do that. But I think the questions are going to be asked: if you don't win MLS Cup, where did you lose in the playoffs? Did you lose in the first round? Damn, you can't be losing in the first round. Did you lose in the second round? Did you lose off a fluke? Right? Did you lose in the Western Conference, but it was a close game? Okay, I understand. Or did you not even make it that far? Those were the questions will be asked. Now to your thing, where did you finish in the Western Conference? You finished fifth, you finished sixth, or you finished second? Okay, you finished first. Bam, you hit it. Your third Open Cup, right? Open Cup is to give other players a shot, but it also gives you a chance to win one of the opportunities to advance. I think to CONCACAF, right? Or you could also win. You can, if you win that, I think you also could move on to CONCACAF, right?
Yeah,
I think another thing that I would add to that is making CONCACAF, being able to make CONCACAF if you're LAFC. I think that's another thing that should be added. That should be fourth on the list.
Right.
And I think that's how you can grade LAFC. You give 3 points. I just added one more. And I think if those aren't met, then those are questions will be asked at the end of the year.
Yeah, and they should be asked. I think I put a question out there. I forgot what I put. Obviously, my Twitter polls don't speak for everyone in the fan base. I mean, there's way too many fans, but I think I asked the question of Bob Bradley, or no, if LAFC failed to win MLS Cup, I think that was the question. Is Bob out? Is Thornton out? Is both of them out or nobody out? And I think the majority winner was they both get kept. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that one, but for me, this is make or break time this season. It's your fourth season. You've had the same squad legit for almost all four seasons, kind of, if you think about it. I mean, most of the players are still there besides some of the older ones. And you've had the same tactics for the three straight seasons, and I'm assuming I could read him like a book. He's going to go for 4-3-3, for the fourth straight season. Vela on the right, Rossi on the left. I can kind of predict his lineup right now without even having a preseason game.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
it's it's there. If I'm an opposite coach going against Bob Bradley, I kind of already know what he's going to do. So that's why sometimes it kind of sucks because it's easy to game plan against Bob Bradley,
Yep.
Unless, I mean, look at Liverpool now. I know I've said this before. LAFC and Liverpool are way different spectrums here, and I know Liverpool's had really bad injuries, but they went with the same starting 11 each week, and now look at them now. I know they've had injuries, but they're crap now this season. They already said that we're not going to win the title, and there's still like 10 games, 12 games left to play. So I mean, if other teams know what Liverpool's going to do, it's really easy to game plan against Bob Bradley. And, I like Bob. Bob's a cool coach, and he's done a lot. He's done a great job for LAFC, pat on the back and everything. But when it comes down to it, I want to see silverware. Supporter Shield was cool. If we're in the Premier League, we would have won the league, but we don't play in the Premier League. We play in a playoff system. So CONCACAF, we're almost there. Western Conference Finals the other year, we got knocked out. US Open Cup, we screwed that up too. So I just want to see some silverware, man. That's just my
Yeah.
whole thing. And this is the season to do it. This is the fourth season. And if he doesn't get it done, coaching change, so be it. Who the coach is, people ask me, oh, who's the coach going to be? Who's the coach going to be? I can't tell the future, so I don't know. I just hope they get it right. But for right now, I back Bob until he's, screws it up.
Yeah, I think to your point, you make a lot of points, and right. I like Bob, and I like what he's been doing as well. And I know it's also hard to win, right? And the run he had in
Yeah.
Concacaf was spectacular. Yeah,
Yeah.
spectacular.
Really
What he
good.
did was spectacular. It was an amazing run. I think some of the things that he may get criticized is on the defensive end. If you're doing the zone defending, if you're not doing the man, if a team, the Seattle's the only team that I know in the that I feel, that I think is better said, because I'm thinking, I'm giving my thoughts, that I think has Bob Bradley and LAFC figured out. They've just shown it. They
Yeah.
have horses. They know
Yeah.
what LAFC is going to do, and I think you got to adjust certain things. I don't know if it's the formation. I don't know what it is, but I'm not a coach, right? I'm just a guy talking on a mic, but I feel like I have some thought of what I'm, something that I'm talking about. But if I look who finished, in the Western Conference, the top in the Western Conference, it was number one Kansas City, number two Seattle Sounders, number three Portland Timbers, number four Minnesota United, and then you look at number five, it was Colorado Rapids, number six FC Dallas, then it was LAFC, and then San Jose. LAFC shouldn't have been seventh. Let's just get that out there. Shouldn't have been
Yeah.
seventh. Should have been top four, right? Whatever the season ended.
Right.
But Minnesota made a deep run in the playoffs. Portland won what they win. They won the MLS Cup in the summer. What was it called? I forgot.
Oh, the
MLS's back tournament. They won the
yeah,
MLS back tournament.
the bubble cup, whatever you want to call it.
Seattle Sounders made it to the final.
Mhm.
Sporting Kansas City, I think they got knocked out early, but they look good. I don't think they got Alan Polito back. Um, they have tough competition right there.
Mhm.
Just those
Yeah.
four. And I haven't even mentioned LA Galaxy, which is your rival, which you're always, no matter what, no matter how bad of a good season your rivals had last season, they're always going
It's
to be
always a
tough
good
to beat.
game. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
they're
always a tough
always
game.
so for them to get up there, it's not going to be easy. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be easy, and I think you have a right to judge them on how other teams are doing and how other teams are performing. And I've seen, I think, to the other point, to add to that is, what went wrong with the scouting process? What went wrong with bringing Brian Rodriguez in? What went wrong with these trades? What went wrong with the third DP? What's the next option? I think it's totally right for us to value them and critique them, and, about how they did, towards the end of the season. But I think coming to the fourth season, if they don't meet those expectations, I think a lot of questions are going to be asked. But also, I think another thing to that is, what is John Thornton and Bob Bradley's plan? Was this a 5-year plan? Was this a 4-year plan? Was this a 10-year plan? Was this a
Oh
6-year plan?
God.
I have a feeling it might be a 5-year plan. It may be a 4 to 5 year plan,
Mhm.
but that all can change if LAFC doesn't do good this season. That can
Oh
all
yeah.
change. But I have a feeling that this may be. I have no source, no nothing like that. But I have a feeling this is a 5-year plan. Um, you know, and all these conversations can be washed away with winning silverware, winning
Oh
MLS
yeah.
Cup, which is the most important one, right?
Right.
LAFC is not going to be in Concacaf this year, but they can qualify. You want?
Mhm.
I think that's somehow you have to qualify for Concacaf. I think you got to win Open Cup, you got to win Supporter Shield,
Right.
obviously MLS Cup, and I think I
Mhm.
forgot how the other way is to get into Concacaf,
Something about qualifying the top seed I don't know how that really works.
the
I just want to be
playoffs
in
or
that
something like
tournament.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that tournament. So it'd be cool to be back in
So
it.
you got to qualify. You got to qualify no matter what for that. I think that's just kind of like a given. You just got to
Yeah.
qualify. That's a given. That's number one. Open Cup, you see what you do, because you're in Open Cup. You play. You don't play. You regularly don't play your starters, because
Right.
there's other things going on in the world. You got players traveling, all this stuff. But like you said, deep run. Obviously, top three in the West, very doable, but very hard. You don't want them finishing seventh with the type of talent in MLS
Mhm.
Cup. I think that is
Right.
the main objective for all the other teams as well. But you've come so close, and I think you don't. I think if you're LAFC, Western Conference, obviously, I think it's the minimum depending how you do. But it's just like, I think you have to. at least get there. And
Yeah.
then obviously you want to get, but I'm not naive that you got Seattle Sounders. I think you got to be able to beat Seattle Sounders in the playoffs, which has been the most difficult thing for them. So I think if those expectations that we're putting on them, right, are met, then it's fair enough to ask those questions and see what is actually going on behind the closed doors.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And as we talk about LAFC trying to get better, not everyone else is not sitting on their hands. They're getting better too. That's the thing. And MLS keeps expanding to, like, I don't know how many teams now. It seems like we have 50 teams in the league, but it seems like they keep expanding, which is going to make it more difficult to win MLS Cup. So the window's there. We got to get a win before the window closes. I don't know when the window will close, but it's not going to be open forever. Certain teams that win trophies, their window is right there, and then they close it, and then it's closed, it's done. Like, that's it. Like, you're not going to win anymore. I'm not going to give any examples, but I think some people would know what I'm talking about when I talk about certain sports teams. Like, their window of opportunity is right
Hmm.
there. You better take it, or that's it. Kind of like the Dallas Mavericks when they beat the Heat in the finals
Yeah,
back in
yeah,
2011. That was it. Like, that's all you're ever going to win. Back then, that's it. Like, with Dirk and JJ Barrera, they had I think, was it Jason Terry or something like that, and a couple other players.
yeah.
That was the opportunity to beat LeBron and them. That was it. So they took it. That's it. Um, and then, certain teams are like that. And just like the Baltimore Ravens when they beat the 49ers of Joe Flacco, that was
Yeah,
it for
but I
them for
think I
that
think
time
the
being.
LAFC
Yeah.
is capable of winning
Yeah.
multiple, right? They're capable of winning multiple. It's just multiple trophies and multiple tournaments. It just comes down to like executing. It comes down to executing down the end. And I think obviously going into the fourth year, they have more experience now. They know what they're capable of. I think it's just for them it was closing out those games in Concacaf, which were the most difficult ones to finish off. But I think we laid out a foundation of what you know the standard or what to critique them on. Better said, right? If
Right.
those things are Concacaf, if Concacaf qualification is in there, if they don't finish top three, deep run an Open Cup and how they do an MLS Cup. That's all fair assumptions with the type of talent, the type of money they have behind them, and the type of coaching as well, right? And the type of players and everything, you name it. And I think those are really good ones, and I'm gonna write those down because I think once I think you got that's the measuring stick. I think that's the
Yeah.
measuring stick for all big teams.
Yeah.
That want to have some type of you even got FC Cincinnati signing the Brazilian player. They paid what 15 million. Everybody
Yeah.
is in the mix, man. Everybody's in the
Mhm.
mix. Everybody wants to make it deep and not make the fans proud, but also win some silverware. And like to your point, it's getting tougher as more and more teams come into the league.
Right. And Orlando just signed Pato
Yep.
as a
Yeah.
center
True. Yep.
forward. And then you got Galaxy, I'm sure, are going to be signing somebody. They never don't sign anybody. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'm sure they got
Maybe
something up their
Pabon. We'll see. But yeah.
Yeah, they got something up their sleeve. I wouldn't doubt that, NYCFC over there, they're going to have something. Maybe the Red Bull, all these teams, they're not going to be sitting on their hands. They don't care if there's a pandemic going on. As the season goes on, or even a couple of weeks, we might see some crazy stuff go down. You never know. Maybe some unexpected names might hit the field, and you know, if we get left behind, then we're going to know how this season's going to go. Unfortunately, but positive thoughts for right now.
Yeah, yeah, positive thoughts. Well, Garrett, it was been great talking with you. Is there anything else you want to say before we let you go?
No, Gio. Thanks for having me on again, man. I really appreciate it. It's always fun to talk LAFC with you. I know this week, not so much LAFC news, but it's always nice just talking LAFC football, what we expect, what we want, and it's a pleasure being on here again.
Yeah, man, it was great to be on, and we should get more stuff come next week. Obviously, that's when
Mhm.
preseason starts next week, so we should definitely get a lot more stuff going on there. But yeah, let the people know where they can follow you.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at We Are LAFC Live. I'm always on there interacting, giving my opinions, running a lot of polls for my followers I know. And yeah, just appreciate all the follows and yeah, interactions.
Yeah, guys, definitely give him a follow. Obviously, if you're a LAFC fan, get a Twitter account. He doesn't have Instagram. He refuses to use Instagram. Hey,
I
Twitter,
have,
Twitter, Twitter's sometimes easier. I found out
yeah.
that some people rather use Twitter and some people rather use Instagram. Some people don't
Hmm.
understand Twitter, so I'm not hating. I use both. I try to do as many as I can, but
Uh-huh.
there's a lot out there. So definitely give them a follow. But if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to give this a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. You can listen to this podcast on Spotify or wherever you get your music. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at Gio Garcia LA, and make sure to follow us on LA Soccer Hub on both Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're on there. Give us a follow. For Garrett, this is Gio. We'll catch